Welcome to another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and P-Bush. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, man. Got a couple week hiatus from the podcast. Nice little break. I know Zoo did some traveling, man. And it's kind of a slow time for sports, man. But hey, I know we're not talking about it yet, but I'm getting excited for the NFL season. I've been watching some highlights the past couple days, man. It's only getting me more hyped up for September.
For sure, man. Like definitely right now, people are traveling right now because there's no sports, nothing to watch on TV right now. There's nothing that I haven't been using my TV at all these past couple of weeks. So yeah, definitely, man. Back from Italy, man. Oh man, low-key, I miss it, man. The food, that New York food ain't the same. The pasta ain't the same. The pizza ain't the same. All the seafood, what's
everything.
It called? The Florentine steak ain't the same, man. So getting used to normal food. Had a chopped cheese today, so getting used to normal food again. So I was blessed for a little 10+ days of eating like a king every single day, every single meal. So back in the New York has humbled me back again, man. Back to the real world again, man. Working late. Jesus Christ, working late again. So.
And then you got to deal with nothing being on sports, man. So it's just a brutal time.
For sure.
No, I definitely agree with the sports being dry. This is probably the most dire area in terms of sports being on. I mean, all due respect to tennis, all due respect to baseball. You know, outside of Ohtani, there's nothing that I really like about baseball in the regular season. So, with that, Summer League just happened like a few days ago. And it's been a lot of developments, good, bad, indifferent with Summer League, like most years. And I want to get their guys' opinions on some players, some teams. What were their analysis on, the Summer League so far? And P-Bush, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, man, I think we got to get the obvious out of the way, man. Victor Wembanyama. I haven't seen that much. I'm pretty sure they sold out the whole stadium, man, for his first
they
night.
sold out.
And to be fair, it was a really boring game. There was so many missed shots on either side. I mean, I think he shot correct me here, but
2 for 13,
2 for 12 or 2 for 13 or something like that. Just seemed a little, the nerves getting into him. And, I'm kind of watching and I'm like, hey, he's looking a little iffy. But then I'm like, look, man, this is his first showcase. He's, first time playing in America. Everyone was giving him crap for his welcome to America moment. But then he bounced back and had a nice game too. But hey, those fans, even if it was a letdown watching Victor, have a little bit of an off night. They got to see Jabari Smith's game-winning 3-point shot right before that, so that was actually pretty cool to see. I think they were playing the Blazers that night, and that might have been the Scoot Henderson. Could be wrong there, but either way, I actually, of the games I did watch, it is kind of fun to watch these guys play. I feel like there's a lot of highlight reel plays. There were a ton of insane posters, at least in the games that I was watching. And it's just kind of like I'll equate it to if anybody watches the UFC, it's usually the lower level fights that end up being better because they're fighting to get to the top. And I think that's also why I enjoy watching Summer League here and there, because these guys are all trying to earn a potential spot in one of the most exclusive leagues in sports. There's not many spots. Some of these guys are probably going to be sent home and may never see an NBA court again. So I do enjoy watching it. A lot of injuries though too. Scoot Henderson, I think he just tweaked his shoulder. And then we had guys coming back from injury, man. First time we're seeing Chet Holmgren play in a long time. And he was actually pretty damn good.
His defense, man. His ability to have two hands go up and stay straight up, man.
Stay straight.
He's elite shot blocking ability.
Very similar to Victor. I think a lot of people were like, hey, I think Victor's like 35-1 to win Defensive Player of the Year this year. Could be a decent little solid value bet there. Just based on what we were saying, because I think we all expected, at least for both of those guys, maybe not in post play as much, but their defensive prowess just from their length and athleticism for their height is going to be something that should translate relatively well into the league. But I think, the shooting is just going to have to come along for both Victor and Chet and those guys, because I think Chet might have only shot 1 for 11 from 3 in the Summer League. So that's just the nerves. It's getting out there, kind of getting your feet under, especially coming off an Achilles injury. But yeah, it's always kind of fun to watch the guys play. And I'm not really sure some of the smaller names, but I know there were a couple guys, at least on the Bulls and other teams, that were just randomly having pop-off games, like Giannis DeSantos, the point guard that the Bulls had playing for him, had a couple nice games. So Yeah, it's just kind of a fun showcase to watch. And this year they just happen to be getting a huge crowd at these games.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, Summer League has been an event for basketball. Like, these are the people that go to Summer League, basketball fanatics, man. These are like this is the closest to diehard when people go there, or these diehard fans that love the game. Yep. I feel like going down to Vegas, the opportunity to see these up-and-coming potential future superstars. You can probably go down the strip and see just NBA players walking around, agents, like
Vegas helps that.
Like a lot of NBA guys, like Woj, all these guys are all down there. So this is like basketball, like heaven down there for the Summer League right now. So I feel like one of these summers I gotta make a trip down to Vegas for Vegas Summer League, man. Especially if the Bulls, if the Bulls got a stud in the draft or something, might have to make a visit down there, man. But for me personally, Victor, I saw what I saw. Like, the dudes on defense is gonna be unreal. He's a face-up guy, got 0 post game. He likes dribbling outside, so he's got that KG like style, like face-up game. Got no back to the basket game, so he ain't gonna be like Jokic posting up with little jump hooks, man. He wants to be dancing outside, thinking he's Kevin Durant, even though that jump shot ain't there yet. Like, the offensive jump shot still has a lot to develop, but defensively, immediate impact. So he'll be fine in the league. So I won't be worried. If the dude gets 10 points, dude's going to be able to get like 10 rebounds and like 3 block shots. I'm not worried about him in the NBA. So that's whatever. Even though the game one, that was absolute trash. Just him bricking.
That might have been nerves, probably.
It was 100%
I feel like, like all the media attention. The guy hasn't like played basketball that much. Just doing media all the time for like 6 months. So that's like whatever. I'm gonna write it off. But me, I'm selfish. So I'm analyzing the Bulls players, man. We got a potential roster spot open. Shout outs to my boy Adama Sanogo of getting a 2-way contract. The UConn center. I'm like, this dude's an NBA potential player. He goes undrafted, but gets a nice little 2-way contract with the Chicago Bulls. So congratulations to this guy. I like what I see, man. He's going to be a nice little role player in the NBA if he gets the opportunity. But Javonte Freeman Liberty, man. Javon Freeman Liberty. First of all,
American name.
What a name,
the most American name I've ever heard.
Liberty.
What's his name?
Javon Freeman Liberty.
Oh, man.
What a name. First of all, that's a great name. That's
get
a
him
great
on,
name.
Get him on the American flag already.
Dude,
yeah, he's got a Team USA.
Imagine that on your jersey. Freeman-Liberty, man. For all, man.
That's wild.
So that's a great name. Whoever changed their name, they definitely changed their name to Freeman Liberty, like as their last name. Because that's a great name.
They married based on that reason alone, damn near.
Which is even crazier, but yeah.
Dude, seriously, in this league, he averaged 21 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block a game on 49% shooting and 46 from 3. This dude is 6'4" with a 6'9" wingspan, and he has range, man. This dude's also DePaul, man, a Chicago guy, man, playing out for the Chicago Bulls Summer League team. So this guy lit it up in Summer League. He was on Summer League last year. He got a lot better, obviously, this year, man. He made like whatever the all Summer League like second team, man. So he was like the top 10 team. Yeah, with the all Summer League team, one of the top 10 performers. So this guy balled out. And right now the Bulls need guard help right now. That's what they need. Yeah. Obviously Zoe ruled out. It's over. I'm sorry, man. I miss him. This guy was the great connector. Like, we got Javon Carter. We lost Pat Bev. So we're down to Javon Carter and Alex Caruso at the point guard position.
Captain. Kobe White.
Oh, yeah, Kobe. Yeah. Kobe White's a 2.
Combo guard,
I love Kobe, but he a 2, man. He about getting buckets. So we just have nobody. Yep. So right now we're just grasping at straws and hoping for a guy. And this guy, that's one thing I watched from him. He can shoot the basketball, and he has a lot of range because a lot of his shots were contested too. Like, he takes some deep 3-point shots. And in college, he's been a great 3-point shooter, and now it's been translating in Summer League basketball. So even this guy just do be a catch and shoot guy. He lifts the top of the key 3, man. He's got great range. He's a bigger point guard at 6'4" with a long wingspan. So I feel like defensively, he has the physical tools not to get exposed on the other end of the basketball court. So I'm just like, man, give this guy a shot, man. Like, at the last roster spot, man. Like, 21. We cannot lose this guy. We can't have another Spencer Dinwiddie situation happen. He falls out for Chicago Summer League team. Some other team gives them like a nice little 2-way contract and they extend them, man. I don't want this to happen again. I don't want a Max Drew situation to happen. Was on the Bulls summer, and then he goes all balls out with Miami, gets a nice contract, and now he gets a massive contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers. When we get these guys, we got to snipe them. We because you get them nice and cheap, man. You go a 2-way contract, and then maybe you extend them out for like a 3-year deal, making like $1 million or $2 million a year. That's on the books. That's whatever money. That's
especially
immaterial.
Nowadays.
Seriously, when the cap space over, you're paying 120, 130 in salary cap space. You're paying a dude $1 million or $2 million even just to sit on the bench. That's a nice spot for like a developmental players if you believe in your training staff to get these players up to shape to play or elevate their game to another level, man. So, man, Freeman Liberty, man, been impressed with this game. And I hope this guy gets an opportunity with the Chicago Bulls because I really think he could shoot the basketball in the NBA already because he's got NBA range because he's shooting deep threes right now.
You need that nowadays.
So I feel like, man, the Bulls need shooting. They had a lot of shooting the free agency, but this guy could be another potential guy off the bench right now because whatever, Carlik Jones or whatever, the G League MVP, the brother is 6 foot tall. That guy ain't going to be playing in the NBA. If you're 6 foot tall, Kemba, you got to be special to make the league. Special
athlete.
Seriously. Like I'm just like the NBA, it's very heightist, man. Like your height matters. Height matters in the NBA. Like legit.
The Chris Pauls are a dying breed,
They
are
dying.
Those type of guys are super dying breed.
What did Kobe say? He was like, "You guys better pray. You better thank God every day that Allen Iverson wasn't 6'6" or something like that."
Seriously, like height just appreciates your value. Like, your skill level has to be exponentially higher than a guy that's like 5 inches taller than you. So, like having a guy like this that's 6'4" who can shoot and have long arms. He got the physical traits, and he's like developed. Like he was like a 4-year college
NBA
guy.
ready.
4-year college, NBA ready. He's not going to be one of those guys, development stories, a.k.a. the Bulls' second-round pick. That dude's a development story, man. So get a guy that can play immediately because I'm very desperate.
They lost their pick. Might as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. So Freeman Liberty.
Was he drafted or was he just undrafted?
Undrafted. Freeman Liberty.
Undrafted, okay. But, I agree. Usually where the best teams in the league, where they find their depth and where they can, end up making long playoff runs is when they're able to mine through those undrafted guys, their G League system, and bring those guys up. And sometimes late second round picks that are specialists in terms of, because my theory is like, once you get out of the lottery, if you can just find a specialist in that, really late first round, second round, whatever, if you can find a guy who's a specialist, whether he's a defensive specialist, shooting specialist, 3-and-D specialist, whatever. That's perfect. And sometimes you get lucky with like a Jimmy Butler where he came in as a specialist, but then he works his butt off and it becomes a superstar. But, a couple guys I was looking at, like I said, I told the guys beforehand, I was watching a man and Scoot. They're a given. We know they're going to be good. They're going to be a star. But the other brother, Ausar, when I watched, there was one highlight where he did it felt like he floated from the free throw line backwards to the goal when he dunked it. It felt like it was just like the slowest of motion when he floated for that backwards dunk. I was just like, man, like I knew their athleticism was crazy, but just watching it firsthand is like that'll play. Like I understand why people were like, yeah, I'm debating where I'm taking them in the top 10. Like, no, they're top 5 picks. So, but with Ausar especially, I'm very intrigued because of his versatility of a wing defender, a shooter, a guy that can make slightly. He's not like his brother, but he's got a little bit of it in him. Like he's not, uncomfortable dribbling the ball and moving around. But that Detroit backcourt now that you got Ivy back there, I think it's a lot of healthy competition. Like, Killian Hayes, to me, he's destined to do whatever. But with Ivy, Thompson, and Cade, I think most people are going to assume that Cade is going to be the lead guard when he comes back. I think it's a lot of competition for that Ivy Ausar. And if I'm Detroit, I'm kind of maybe leaning more towards Ausar being that starter of the two. Because then if you're looking at two,
Jaden Ivy,
I'm thinking about this, like, because for one, Jaden Ivy, respect to him, I guess he's a point. He's a 2. What is he like? What do you think
he's more of a combo guard. He's a natural scorer.
So then it's like when you look at, if you're saying he's a combo guard leaning more towards a 2, then he's a 6'4" guard that we know can score and maybe distribute a little bit. But if you already have Cade for that, I'm just thinking of 2 6'7" guys in your backcourt who are defensively versatile and like basically are wing bodied. And I'm like, I like
Lou Williams off the bench.
I mean, he probably would have to be off the bench, but I think he'd be a 6-man plus. I don't want to just call him a 6-man because that would be that's kind of disrespectful. But you know, I like that fit of Cade and Ausar. I was just thinking about it when I saw Cade because I think Ausar in his first game he had like 14 points, 10 rebounds, a couple assists, couple steals. Like, you know, I think his motor and his shot being as good as it is right now, I think his motor and his shot's going to be very interesting, which is good for Detroit. Because also in that game, I was watching Jalen Duran. Like I think he's going to be a really good big. He's going to be a really good big. I don't think he's just rebounding guy. Like he has a kind of a nice offensive package that he can develop.
He's young.
Super young.
Last year was 19 years young and was built like a freaking man. 250.
He reclassified.
250 as a 19.
Reclassified.
Absurd. That is actually absurd.
Detroit and the Rockets are definitely two teams. If I got League Pass, I'm going to be watching a lot of this year because they just got so much talent. You don't even know.
I got to shout out Cam Whitmore.
Yeah,
this guy dropped in the draft.
He's a bucket getter.
And he won like summer league, whatever, MVP or whatever, best performer, man. And this dude just putting up buckets. Even though the jump shot's still looking slow, dude's a freak athlete. And he's just getting like whatever shot he wants right now in summer league. And he just looks like an athlete, like a first class, like top 5% athlete in the NBA already.
I did want to ask you guys what you thought about Brandon Miller too, because
I think he'll be entirely better.
Yeah, he just like right now he didn't wow me. I mean, to be honest, he had that really rough game, and then I think the next game was the Wembanyama game, when he struggled, and Brandon Miller came out and he outplayed him in that game, like one-on-one. You're just comparing stats. He outplayed Wemby, but I don't know. I just wasn't wowed that much. I mean, he's a sniper if he's feeling it. And he can create a decent mid-range, but I just didn't really see that much explosiveness or anything. So I don't see how he meshes with Miles.
I don't think he's a great athlete. And he's a very finesse game. I feel like if the jumper's off, he's not going to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's very like a one-dimensional. Like he's a shooter. Like that's his role.
Charlotte's G League team was a bunch of two guards running around. I don't even think they had a single point guard. No. That's why he looked bad. That's why I think with Miller, I'm really going to need to see him with LaMelo because LaMelo's such a gifted passer. I think he'll look 10 times better with LaMelo.
But
in terms of your thought process of him maybe being like a number one, I don't know if that's in there. But I think he ain't Paul George because Paul George is a crazy athlete. But I think his ceiling could be that, which is fine if he's a number two. I do still think Charlotte should have drafted Scoot. Yeah, I don't know. The Melo Scoot thing is just people overthink that stuff. When you're in that top 5, you draft the best player and figure it out. But LaMelo got paid his rookie extension, so you probably don't want to. Maybe LaMelo, we don't know, but maybe LaMelo behind the scenes is like draft Scoot. We're gonna have a problem because that stuff does happen.
The clause in his contract.
Yeah, maybe that was why. But one other player I wanted to shout out before we move on to a different subject. Is Keontae George. You know what I thought about when I first saw his like draft workout stuff was like Beal, just because of the size and the shooting ability. But then when I looked at his summer league stats, he shot like 44% on like 9 attempts, I think, which is kind of crazy. And then his on ball, like because right now for the Jazz, who would you say is their point? I don't even know who their starting point is. I guess Colin Sexton. Who?
Jordan Clarkson.
I mean, he's a 2 guard to me. But if Colin Sexton's still there, I don't know. But Keontae has the potential to have a lot of on ball because, coming out of Baylor, he was, college is so weird because you don't know. It's ruled by coaches. So a lot of that stuff is, this is what we want to run. Like Devin Booker's a perfect example. Like Devin Booker has shown way more in the NBA than he did ever at Kentucky. We just thought he was a spot-up shooter at Kentucky, but once he got to the NBA, he showed a lot more of his skill set at the 2 position. But with Keontae, I think he has the potential to be a nice on ball type of player where he could maybe run an emergency as a point and could grow in that position. And Utah's another team that's got a lot of young talent. And Keontae was one of those guys where earlier in the draft class, I saw like when it was like probably November, December, he was like in that top 5, top 10 range of just like overall talent, but then he kind of dropped as guys got better and so wing league, so those guys are going to go up. But I really liked his ability to score. Like it just looked easy. I'm always fascinated by guys who can score easily. Yeah, I know it's summer league, but when you can score easily and show the ability to have a shot or like to get your own shot, because that's what separates a lot of the guys in the league. Like I don't know if I'd say over half, but a good majority of guys in the league can get their shot. I would say a lot of them get their shot, but can you get it consistently? Like, and in the fourth quarter, can you do that? and not a lot of guys can do it consistently and get like. I remember one guy I don't know, might have been on ESPN, but one of the former NBA guys. It's like it's not about how many shots you get. It's about like every time I look at you get a shot, it's like, oh, that's a good shot. You just missed it. Like how many players can do that? And there's not a lot. So like Keontae, for him, it just looked real easy. Like it just looked real easy. And I hate the whole summer league rhetoric of like, oh, these are just, I mean, I get it. Some of these guys are never going to play again. But you can still just look at a player and be like, hey, the skill set is there. So as long as you're showing a consistent skill set, then if you keep working hard, you can hopefully be in a rotation. So those are just a few guys.
It's like a slightly, it's just above the college level. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like watching a slightly better version of college basketball. That's really what it is. So they're still taking a step in the right progression towards the transition.
I also think too, I do think that Scoot, and there was another guy, I think Leonard Miller, he got drafted in the second round. I just watch highlights of guys. Like I said, I didn't watch a lot of full games, but I watch highlights. Like you could tell though, them being in the Ignite, like the whole G League Ignite transition, whatever that little program is, they adapted way faster to G League. Like, and I think that was part of Brandon Miller's problem.
It's like
I think that was part of Brandon Miller's problem. Is he just,
rules.
You're seeing grown men daily, so that might be another selling point for the G League, and be like, yo, I know you guys like college and NIL, but how much you get this? What is it? 500,000 they get?
$500,000,
100,000? Yeah,
$500,000 for the top.
From train. Yeah. So, but that's my summer league wrap up. You know, like you said, after that, it's a lot of Dame rumors that will be coming up, and this next topic regarding Mr. Lillard. It's been a lot of trade machine stuff and a lot of age. The most interesting point I've seen is like the secondary battle of like Woj and like Dan Le Batard. I saw they were arguing because they're saying Woj is bought by a certain part of Dame's camp, or not Dame's camp, but ESPN reporting what they're reporting, and then Le Batard is saying that Dame has his people because Chris Haynes is Dame's guy, so it's like Dame's guy, so you don't really know who to believe. Like it's a lot of that going on, and I think a lot of that type of rhetoric is just because Dame hasn't been traded yet. So I wanted to ask the guys, what are their thoughts on the Dame request? What are some trade scenarios? Where would you prefer? Where do you think he's going to go? Zoo, go ahead and start us off.
Man, so predictable. I remember when we were talking about right before draft day, when we talk about the draft pick, the most important pick, and when Scoot Anderson got drafted and he was not traded, Damian Lillard was eventually, they're going to have a nice little breakup because they got the successor, man, Scoot Henderson. Yep. And just like the young core that Portland's building, it's really nice.
Nice.
Like you trade Dame for a massive haul of draft picks and young players. You got Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp, Scoot Henderson.
Sharp looked good in summer league.
He was looking good in summer league.
They got a young core. Like that's a nice foundation block of developing these young guys to let them grow together, and their skill sets like fit well. So I'm like, it just made too much sense. It just made all the sense of the world. And when Dame finally requested the official trade, get that nice little report to Chris Haynes, like, okay, everything makes sense in the world. Like I'm like, Dame kept the brother was going on the podcast talking about the Miami Heat. Like I'm just like, this is obvious. Like this is the worst kept secret in NBA sports, man. Like it's I'm like, request it. I'm like, okay, the brother was on podcast talking about the Heat, and like he wants to go to the Heat. So obvious. But now this is just a game of chicken now, man. This is a straight up game of chicken. Obviously, he wants to go Miami. Miami's trying to play. Like, we'll give you Tyler here a couple picks. I'm like, let's get a deal done. And they're like, no. We're gonna need a lot more. We're gonna need a lot more. And if we're gonna get Tyler Hero, we don't want him. We want a 3-team trade, so we're gonna get more assets, young players that fit with our core that we're building right now. And they have to do what they got to do. They got to be selfish. They gave Dame $60 million a year. That's what they gave him. They gave him one of the biggest contracts in the history of sports in the NBA. So like they own Dame nothing. They gave him the nice contract, and now they're gonna take his trade request and try to get the best package for the Portland Trailblazers franchise. So you can't be like, okay, Miami, he wants to go to Miami. Let's get a less package because he wants to go to South Beach. No. You gotta get what's best for the franchise. Yep. And Damian Lillard totally get his perspective because the dude wants to compete. And the Trailblazers low-key tanked for 2 years in a row. Yep. They sat him. Like, the dude was healthy, but they're like, nah, Dame, you're going to sit. We're going to get a higher draft pick, and we're going to try to trade the draft pick for some help for you. And clearly, it didn't happen. They drafted a guy in Shaden Sharp last year who was a definition of a developmental project because the dude did not even play college basketball.
Yeah, just high school.
Dude had unreal potential. Dude was a freak athlete. Like, you saw his high school tape. Reminded me a lot of Zach LaVine. Like a lot of Zach LaVine, his body, his hops, his shooting too. He's an elite shooter already. Like his catch and shoot is amazing. So he's going to be one of those projects, and he's been developing real nicely. And they got Scoot Henderson now. So I'm like, the team, they have been rebuilding. And if you got a guy in Dame Dollar, he has no shot in being on a rebuilding team right now. So Damian Lillard, Portland Trailblazers, they finally breaking up, and now the breakup is this is like the messy divorce right now, man. This is divorce getting real messy, man. They had a great relationship, but now all that negativity coming a little out right now. Dame wants to move on to a new person, a new woman, man. Portland Trailblazers is like, man, again, that, man, we ain't giving you all the assets, man. This is a nice little divorce. He's like right now. They're trying to get a settlement right now, man. This divorce
and then some.
Exactly. So right now he want to move on to South Beach, but man, they're trying to squeeze out Pat Riley and just a game of chicken.
It's going to take 3 teams, like you said, though.
Yeah, 3 teams are always harder. But I feel like the training camp, that's going to be the deadline because they don't want Dame Dollar on the roster to hinder Scoot Henderson's growth in his first year because he looks like he's ready to play right now. Because his body for a 19, 20-year-old is absurd. Like, dude is built. Like, he is built like a freaking running back as a point guard. Like, I don't even know how these kids are built so physically, like, ridiculous. Like, I don't know what this boy is eating in training because he's built like a ball, man.
A lot of Greek yogurts, dude.
Seriously, a lot of Greek yogurts, a lot of chicken thighs, man. Just a lot of protein shakes because the guy is physically built like as an 18, 19-year-old. So, like, this dude's ready to play. And Dame Dollar, man, we got to move on from you. But I eventually feel like the Miami Heat deal will get done because I don't think any other teams make any sustainable offer. Like, I don't hear no rumors about no Boston Celtics or Philadelphia 76ers giving up a significant package that's going to blow Portland Trailblazers away.
Well, what are the teams? We know Miami's a destination. What are the other realistic teams that, even though he doesn't want to go there, that Dame could or should go to?
I feel like Philadelphia 76ers, Philly, because Harden obviously is going to get shipped out because he demanded a trade. And if they do the Harden trade to the Clippers, they're going to get a bunch of role players back because they're not going to give up PG or Kawhi.
That's all the Clippers have.
So they get the role players and then try to make a trade for Dame, but then that's going to give up Tyrese Maxey, which Daryl Morey does not want to give him up. No. So if he doesn't give him up, I don't want Tobias Harrison picks. I'm sorry. I don't want Tobias picks. They ain't going to get it done. So they're being a little greedy. And then the Boston Celtics don't want to give up Jaylen Brown. I'm just like, they ain't got nothing else to give up for Dame. So, like, no one's really stepping up to get Dame right now, especially because Damian Lillard, when he's 35, 36, he's going to be making $59 to $60 million. So that back end of the contract is going to hurt a little on your books. Well, Miami right now, you got Jimmy in his prime. You got to win now. So it makes all the sense in the world to eventually get a deal done. But it's going to be a little slow. But I'm like, I'll be shocked if this happens like the Kevin Durant trade demand. And
I was just going to say this, Zoo, because I was like, I think it's going to mirror Durant.
I'll be shocked if that happens.
I think it's because they're just not going to reach a happy middle ground because at least from what I was reading, obviously you mentioned the hero, right, being kind of the main player.
A piece, yeah.
And then they wanted Bam. Really, the Blazers were like, give us Bam. We'll do it for Bam, and I don't know if it was and hero or in lieu of hero. But I personally wouldn't trade Bam. I mean, that's your defensive.
No. Dame wants to play with Bam,
and he wants to play with Bam.
That's like he's like that. Yo, Bam's my dog, man. He's
a healthier and more athletic Nurkic, man. That's exactly what the Blazers were hoping Nurkic was going to provide in the post for Lillard, however many years ago when they drafted him. But yeah, man, I do, and the reason is, I just don't see them because you mentioned the training camp aspect as well. If they don't reach an agreement by that point, I think it's going to be the exact same situation as the Nets and the Suns, man. They couldn't reach anything. They get to the trade deadline, and now the Blazers are thinking, all right, now we got a 34-year-old on our books for $60 million a year.
Injury risk,
young guys, injury risk.
Gets injured, it's all over.
And so you got to get something, and I think they'd be more willing at that point to take Tyler Hero in a deal. And maybe that's what Pat Riley's doing. That's why he's playing chicken, because he's like, y'all are the ones in the desperation situation. We know we're probably going to make the playoffs. You're not. You're trying to get him off your books and your team to help progress yourself to the playoffs in the next 4 or 5 years. I think that's what Pat Riley's playing with. I don't see any other team. Maybe if Brunson had never gone to the Knicks, maybe the Knicks would have been able to pull it off. But that's been a rumor for years, him going to New York. But I think it's going to happen to Miami. I just see it happening actually in the trade deadline. So
I'm
curious to see.
So on the Dame front, I do understand like Zoo's point about, the Blazers need to do whatever it takes to get the best deal possible because it's kind of, that's just what you do when you run a business. I mean, just because this is NBA and basketball and whatever, like we kind of sometimes think it's just fantasy land and whatever. But, if you're running a business, if you're trading assets, doing whatever, you want to get the best deal. So for Dame, like his demand to only want to go to Miami kind of, if we're just being honest, Miami's deal just straight up, if you're looking at Miami's deal straight up with Portland, it's not a great deal.
No.
Now, on the outside looking in, a lot of people are like, well, you like Tyler Hero, whatever. Me, I'm in the Tyler Hero camp. I think he's gotten a lot of slander because he's been hurt a lot. But, I mean, if you look at his stats, he was 12, 5, 4. Mm-hmm. And I think he has a lot of potential on ball. Like, he's 23. I think he can get a whole lot better. Now,
does he mesh? That's the thing.
No, he doesn't mesh. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't mesh with Portland. And that's why the 3-team trade comes in. So, for me, I was looking at it like, okay, so if say you're doing a 3-team trade and you're involving a team like Brooklyn, right? If Brooklyn, who some people have said they've had interest in Hero, not say Brooklyn, you're Portland, you're like, okay, you're going to get, I don't even know what Miami's picks are first round wise, but you get all those, as much as you can get with that. You get the pick they got this year, Hawkins Jr., who I think is ready to play right now.
Oh, he's going to be nice.
That dude, nice, man.
You get maybe, you can haggle about Duncan Robinson, but whatever. Anyways, Brooklyn, I feel like they get Tyler Hero. And then the thing that I would wonder, and of course there's going to be fillers and to match some salaries, so there's going to be other players involved, but I'm just talking about the biggest pieces. I think the biggest thing with Portland is they're going to get all Miami's picks. With the Brooklyn aspect, sending what they would send, because this would be, I guess, the compensation for Hero. I'm wondering if they could get like one of those Phoenix picks in the future from Brooklyn, like the farthest one back. Like, I don't know which one, because I know they got a bunch of picks from Phoenix, but like get the furthest one, like 2028, 2029, whatever. Because that's when you're probably betting that the Phoenix situation is not as good, and then that pick is worth more. But I'm wondering if they can get like a Brooklyn first and then get one of those Phoenix first, then I kind of like the compensation. Like compensation for all the sides, because also I would be, if I was a Brooklyn GM, I'd be like, look, if you want Dame, you can have Dame, but you're also going to take Nurkic because he's, like you said, P-Bush, a Band-Aid. He's got like 3 years left on that contract. That's the tax for taking Dame. If you want Dame, you're going to also take Nurkic. Yeah. So now my books are completely clean. Or not completely clean, but they're somewhat clean if I'm Portland. I got the rebuild. I got my players. And if you're Miami, you got Dame. You got to take on Nurkic. Maybe he can bounce back. And then if you're Brooklyn, I do like Hero, Bridges, and Cam Johnson, that little nucleus. I like that, and all the other pieces they got. Like, they could be competitive in the East. So I think it's going to take something like that to, Philly, they're not trading Maxey. They're going to pay him. So that's off the table. Boston's not going to trade Jaylen Brown. Yeah, he's younger.
He's a foundation piece for them.
Yeah. There's no other trade I could see, because the Clippers are not going to do Paul George. None of those guys, nobody's really willing to give up their stars. So for me, I think those are the 3 teams. I could see you, like, if the Bulls gave up, like, so I guess what the Bulls' assets will be going to what? Portland?
Yeah, mostly.
The only person that Portland would probably want is Pat Williams. Because I don't think Zach LaVine meshes. Lonzo's
in a heartbeat, Zoo. In a heartbeat.
Yeah. I think Pat Williams, they would take him, but then yeah.
No, I mean, to your point, they're asking for so much, and he's got such an expensive contract that as a team taking him on, you have to send a heavy contract somewhere, right? Unless you're just dirt cheap and you're not paying anybody. And I don't know.
Maybe Kyle Lowry gets thrown in there to match some stuff. I don't know.
That's why it's mirroring the Kevin Durant situation. I think the Suns are just going to get just like the Suns got desperate. I think that's what, Miami's kind of banking on too.
But I also think if I'm Dame, like, if I'm just thinking from Dame's perspective, is like, I think when he did that extension, he had 2 years left on that deal. like when he did, or I think left on his deal, like he's probably like, dude, especially this past year he had, because I think that would have been expiring. Like this year would have been expiring. Like if he had the year he had on an expiring and didn't re-up 2 years before, that 60 would have been higher. Like he had one of his best years last year. So if that would have been an expiring year that he had the year he had this year, the Blazers would have been paying way more. Plus, it's Portland. Who wants to go to Portland? Dame was loyal for what, 10, 11 years in Portland. He did what he's supposed to do. Yeah, you're gonna pay me $60 million. I'm Dame Lillard. Who else is gonna come to Portland? Good luck. Because guess what? Scoot, if we had to bet right now, is Scoot staying in Portland this entire year? Probably not. No. If he's that guy, he's probably not staying.
So what Lillard had to go through.
I think Dame is thinking like that's a lot of franchise. It's not, exclusive to Portland. Like a lot of the players, I'm not saying this is right. I'm just saying this is how the players, they're like, dude, I'm a star. I stayed here and I put butts in the seats. How relevant is Portland without Dame Lillard? They might be getting rumored to move to Seattle if they don't have Dame these last 10 years. So it's like, I think that's why he's kind of like, you better send him to Miami, because I also think too that where this is like a small percentage, and I don't think this is a major thing, but I also do think agents leverage like, you better do right by Dame, better send him to Miami because I got another guy in 2029, and if you get rights to him, I'm gonna tell him, look, Portland, they ain't doing your boy Dame right. They ain't doing, and players talk like that stuff happens. So I think that's kind of where I understand both sides, from like the player of like, send me where I want to go because this is the NBA and we always do this, and the team being like, hell no, like I want more than Hero, Duncan Robinson, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. and 2 first-round picks. I don't want that. I want more. So I do get the struggle of it, but it's going to be interesting, man. Personally, I do want to see him in Miami because then it changes the whole dynamic of the East. I'm there. I'm up for.
They'll be number one in the East.
Yeah, I would love it
because the fit is perfect.
The Bucks?
No.
I'm nervous about Middleton. I don't know.
Yeah. They paid Middleton a lot of money.
I'm nervous about him.
And Brook Lopez a lot of money. It's like the same team coming back, and Middleton I think he's going to get worse. I think Brook Lopez,
Giannis, I'm not worried about, but
is going to get worse. So they already peaked that year. They won the championship. So I don't think they're going to get better.
Yeah.
So like
Giannis is another guy that might be. Give him a year or two, maybe. He might be like, all right.
Tell him to come about 90 miles south, man. That's all we need.
He did have that quote talk about he wanted to play for the Bulls.
I can only dream right now because I lost my Victor dream this year with the NBA draft lottery.
You lost your Kevin Durant dream last year.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Durant before that. I'm just like, all these skinny dudes disrespecting me. So, I might have to
Win City, man, they'll get blown away. They don't want to
Giannis or Joel Embiid, man. I need an MVP caliber player on the Bulls.
Yeah.
You need one of those guys to win a championship, and we don't have them yet. We have a bunch of nice complimentary guys, but we don't have the MVP guy yet. So,
and that's what the Blazers thought they had in Lillard, man. And it just they tried. I'll give him credit though; he's been loyal down to his last breath. And he's finally getting into that last 4-year kind of contract.
I think he's still there though if they don't draft Scoot. But if I'm the Blazers, I'm drafting.
If they traded for like,
I'm drafting him. I'm sorry,
an all-star caliber player or something.
When he fell from 2, you knew they were like, "Oh my god!" What do we do?
For sure, you could not pass up on this kid. No, if he's a generational point guard prospect, like, come on now.
Yeah. So shout out to Dame. Hopefully something gets done by like I said, early August. We'll have some talking points there. But like we kind of highlighted at the beginning of the podcast, it's not a lot of sports that are of interest of ours going on right now. But right down the road, fantasy football. Will be a nice topic. Like I said, the NFL, is doing their thing with, a couple signings and free agent stuff. So make sure you guys are tuning in to bullheaded_pod on Instagram, on Facebook, YouTube, Quantro Knows. Put a lot of videos up on there. I'll be getting that video up, this video up as soon as possible. And for me, Zoo and Peebush, we are out.